What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening to the overall market so far and what data just came out that's very important, and also what data came out that's going to be very important for Tesla. But before I break things up all this information, before I talk about what the news is saying and some very important things for the markets, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, let's break down what's happened to the market so far. Looking at Tesla, this thing is currently down about 0.48% for the day, holding up quite decently so far. But the question that arises is, how will the market move moving forward? Will the market continue to hold, or is the market about to bounce? It's going to be determined by how we react to some very important support and resistance levels. Now, when it comes to data that just came out, everything was very close to expectations. The GDP growth was 2.1%, aligning with expectations according to the Q2 report. Initial jobless claims were very close to expectations at 204,000, a tiny bit lower than what the forecast was, but very close. And on top of that, the GDP price index was as expected, very close to that. And everything else was kind of like aligning quite decently. Nothing was like too horrible so far. So with that said, there was some news that came out right here about how the end of the month is almost here. We're approaching the end of September and time really is flying. Now, September, I think tomorrow is going to be the last trading day of September. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the market does. There's been some talks about the UAW. We have a new warning coming out as strikes are continuing, and they may have a new location on Friday as negotiations perpetuate. There's been some talk about Meta pushing for the new services and a new platform that's going to be used for potential new AI software. So that's going to be very interesting for their headsets and things like that. And there's also been some funding secured for the Starshield military satellite service. So that's some big news for SpaceX and Elon Musk. And that's pretty much it for now as time goes on. So now let's break down what's happening to the charts and everything like this. So far, the market's a little bit red in the pre-market, but there is still some signs of hope for the bulls. And here's exactly why. When we zoom out, we're going to start off with Tesla, actually. Tesla's looking quite decent so far. When you look at the chart, let me just get this to be up to date. Tesla's looking quite decent. It's not dropping way too hard, and we want to be watching something very, very important. So the way stocks move, if you look at this historical data, you will see that there are many instances where Tesla would be moving in these waves, dropping and dropping, dropping. Other times where it goes up and up and up. That's what it did in the past historically. So this is all important because when we come to today, like right here, Tesla's been on a bearish trend, making lower highs and lower lows, and it's continuing to, look a little bit weaker. But what you can argue is that Tesla technically established a bullish divergence right here at this 234 area. And we're going to be watching to see if this is truly a pivot point or not. Now, Tesla's kind of rejecting right now. We want to be watching, can we establish a higher low? Can we end up dropping and establishing a low right here that's above this 234 level? If Tesla achieves that today, this could be a sign that it's getting ready to reverse a bit. But if it fails to do so, then Tesla could start sinking even lower. So you're going to be watching this 238 area on Tesla. If that fails us, it's going to come down to 235. And if that fails us, we're going to be watching to see if this high can be established or not. If we break below this, then we could be sinking towards the very low 230s. Now, if Tesla does end up getting the bounce, you want to see it hold above the 50 EMA at 241.5. If that breaks, we could be pushing back towards 245. If that breaks, then there's going to be 249 to 250 as the next resistance zone. So looking at the chart, right now Tesla's looking kind of decent. There's a possible inverse head and shoulders, but Tesla's still below 240, so very mixed. And it's just trading sideways right now in the pre-market, not really picking a direction. So when we open, we might see a little pop on Tesla, then a drop, and it could actually retest 238. And we're going to be watching to see if buyers step in or not. If the buyers step in and they start pumping Tesla around this area, we could see Tesla push for 241.5 at the 50 EMA. For us to turn bullish, we have to break this and start pushing above this for the higher levels. You want to see Tesla break and hold 241.5. If we break and hold above it, we could turn more bullish. If we fail to do so, if Tesla continues to reject, we might just chomp around between this range for an extended period of time. Now, if bad news comes out and we break below 238, then we could be sinking towards 235. But I'm leaning in the direction that Tesla's going to kind of like pop when we open, sink down, trade sideways in this area, not really hit this low, but actually establish a higher low, and then start to trade sideways as time goes on and make an attempt towards like the end of the day to try to get back above this 241.5 area and maybe even break a little higher than that. I think it's going to try to break this, and if it does do so, 245 could come either today or tomorrow, and we could even break above that. So there is still some potential for Tesla to bounce because on the whole market, we are starting to establish some good looking structures. On SPY, we have a potential inverse head and shoulders right over here that has developed so far. Now, this is still valid unless SPY ends up breaking below 422. My guts tells me that we're going to be watching this 425 area. We could go a little bit lower than that for a liquidity grab. They may grab liquidity close to like 424, then bounce this thing after that. And we're going to be watching 426.5. If we break that, 428 is going to be the next level. We have to get above 428 to turn really bullish. If it manages to do so, 430 plus is on the table. If it fails to do so, then we're going to be watching some other very important levels. But for now, there's a possible inverse head and shoulders that formed right about here as looking quite decent so far. Now, with that said, my gut is telling me that we're going to see the market attempt to establish that right shoulder. And I think that we're going to try to get above 426.5 later on. We could start off very weak, drop a little bit, trade sideways, then eventually try to break 426.5. If it succeeds at that, 428 is going to be the next level. I think we may be testing that today. Now, if we break that, it really depends on if we break 428 or not. If we break it, we could turn more bullish. If we fail, then it is what it is. But I think that there's going to be a good chance of the market attempting to try to bounce around here. If we end up failing at 424 and we start breaking below it, then we could turn bearish, of course, but I'm not leaning in that direction. I'm leaning more in the direction, of this thing trying to bounce from here. For Aapl, it's very flat right now. It's been going back and forth and back and forth. We're currently at 169, very close to this support right here at 169. If we bounce, we could be watching 170, potentially 171 above that. If 171 breaks, we could see this thing push for 172.5. Now, if we want to be bearish, we want to see it break below 169. If that fails us, then 168 is the possibility. Aapl has this bullish divergence that's been establishing right over here. My gut is telling me it might just trade sideways for now, and we're going to be watching 169 to 170. It may just go back and forth and back and forth. It's been stuck for the majority of the day, and I think it may remain in this range for now. For the QQQ, I think that this thing has another potential inverse head and shoulders, but it may actually decline towards 353 and establish a higher low right here. Then it may start bouncing off that and start pushing for 356. Now, if we break 356, you want to be watching 358. If that breaks, then we could turn a lot more bullish. 356 is the level to watch for to turn bullish. To turn bearish, you want to see it break and hold below 353. My guts tells me it's going to drop a little bit more, trade a little sideways, and bounce right off this pivot level right here, and then make an attempt for 356. If that breaks, 358 is on the table. But I think it's going to drop, then pump, and end up closing very flat, maybe a little green. So I'm looking for a bounce on the QQQ. Nvda also has potential to do so. It looks kind of strange right now, this price action, but it's been making higher highs and higher lows. It's also establishing this new higher low right over here off the 50 EMA. I think it's going to be stuck between 425 to 420 for an extended period of time. If 420 breaks, it's going to be bearish. If it breaks above 425, it could turn bullish. My gut tells me it's going to most likely try to hold in this area and eventually break the resistance right here. And then once it breaks out, we're going to be watching 428 plus for this thing to start pushing to the upside. I think it's going to trade sideways and eventually test 428. If that breaks, 433 is going to be on the table. I'm leaning a bit more bullish on Nvda looking at the structure. It looks a little bit more bullish, so watch for it to try to make an attempt to break out. This does look like a very nice accumulation structure, and we're eventually going to make our way back into the 430s in my opinion, so I think there's a bounce potentially coming for it. With that said, guys, that's pretty much it for the tickers. The VIX is a little bit up right now, but you'll notice that the VIX has been declining. So if the VIX is making lower highs and lower lows, that could be a good sign for the bulls. The dollar index is also declining a little bit. If this continues, that could be a decent sign for the bulls as well. So watch these levels very carefully. Watch support and resistance, and I will most definitely see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, guys, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you, and peace out.